Like all good stories, this one starts at the beginning. I've got 5 days off, so the plan is to put my tent and stuff on the bike and head west. The plan is to ride to Bourke tonight. That's about 750k. Tomorrow's destination is Hungerford. This entails nearly 200 kilometres of Outback dirt road. And like all Outback roads, they could be either a highway or disaster. I left home before Sparrow Fart and I'm at Marywar. It's only about 3 degrees, so I'm having a cup of coffee. But the day is fine and clear and I'm not complaining. The road to Dubbo is undulating with sweeping corners, with the odd funny named town in between. You've just got to wonder what were they thinking when they decided to name their town Dunny-Doo. It's a big wheat growing area out here and there are lots of these silos around. 380k later, I'm at Dubbo. Famous for its Western Plains Zoo and worth a visit. I'll stop at Nyngan next and have some lunch. As I ride, I notice this white stuff on the side of the road, so I stop and have a look. Ah, it's cotton. Then next I see a cotton gin and rows of rolled up cotton. There are patches of roadwork all along this road, and just as well too because the road's quite bumpy. But it's definitely straight. No peg scraping on this trip. By this time I'm starting to get a bit fatigued, so what better place to stop? There was a train filling up from the wheat silos, so I thought I'd go and have a bit of a sticky nose. Then I saw this sign: some towns will do anything to make you visit. Noticed these all along the side of the train line, so I went and investigated, and found they're native melons. No, I didn't try them. I just love the look of a train line going off into the distance, so couldn't resist a silly bugger's shot. Nyngan for lunch, and of course I need to stop at the Big Bogan. Nyngan is in the Bogan Shire, and so they've created this big bogan so tourists will stop and take photos. Of course I would never do that. If you don't know what a bogan is, look it up, Wikipedia will have it. It's also famous for its Bogan River. Very tame now, but it completely flooded the town a few years back. Alrighty then, I've done about 550k and I've got 200 to go. And I have to admit, it's the most boring 200k of the whole trip. So I took a few opportunities to stop and take a photo or two. Then it's back on the straight road. Straight, but bumpy. And a headwind as an added bonus. 750k done and I'm happy to be at Bourke and ready to find my campsite. Bourke is on the Darling River and the campground is just close to it. The name Kidman's Camp is a nod to the Kidman's cattle empire that covered a vast stretch of Australia. Oh look, someone's already set up my tent. How thoughtful of them. But I'm feeling pretty buggered, so this is all I'm having for dinner. I miss my riding buddy waiting on me hand and foot, and I have to cook for myself. It's a struggle. But I managed to get down some porridge and a cup of tea before heading out. It's big adventure day today because I'm headed for Hungerford. There's about 200k of unsealed road between here and Hungerford, and I really don't know what to expect. But I love the wide open plains, and I'm enjoying the last bit of bitumen before the gravel starts. It's really nice to be able to just stop your bike in the middle of the road, have a stretch, and take a few photos, and no one comes by. But after a couple of k's of bitumen, the gravel road starts. It's being graded here, so it's not too bad. But then deteriorates. It's okay if I can keep in the wheel tracks, but there's deep gravel on both sides. And then surprisingly, a few hundred metres of bitumen again. But the scenery's beaut. If it wasn't for the kangaroos that keep jumping out and trying to kill me. but I have to admit they look majestic and so effortless. I'm hitting patches of deep gravel now and the bike's moving around a lot. So here it is in slow motion. That doesn't look so bad. But then I'll hit a patch of nice straight stuff with no deep gravel and I can do 100k and relax. Only then to hit some red sand again. This stuff's nasty. You can see the shiny patches. If I can stay in that, it's fine, but you just can't tell how deep the sand is in between it. I found I simply couldn't ride less than about 90 to 100k an hour because the bike just wouldn't stay straight. When the bike hits some of the soft sand and the front end starts to wobble, the natural reaction is to slow down, but that's the worst thing to do. You've got to throttle on and drive out of it. Not real fun. Too much adrenaline being expended on this stuff. It's total concentration or die. I'm on my own, so I really can't take any risks. I drive out of the red sand and onto a bit of road that's a little bit more smooth, and I can slow down and relax and let my heart rate come down again. Whoa, that's surprising. A little puddle of water. It's so dry out here. It's amazing there's any water at all. More killer kangaroos. But again, they are majestic to watch. They might be trying to kill me, but unfortunately they usually come off second best. Whoa, an unexpected bit of bitumen. This is pure luxury. But then it's back into the red stuff again. The shiny patches are nice and hard. But where it's not shiny, it can be either thin and slippery or really thick and nasty. But I've got to admit, it's beautiful out here. But not beautiful enough to die in. 100k in, and I've had enough. I've decided that cowardice is the better part of valour, and I'm turning around. I'm disappointed, but I've used up a year's worth of adrenaline and I'm completely rooted. And I've got 100k of this stuff to get back again. It doesn't look so bad in the video, but it really is tiring when the bike moves around. Here's a bit of slow motion. So I accelerate and hope I hit a smooth patch again, where I can slow down and recover until the next time. My 1-point bark busters are a failure on these corrugations. Oh well. Have to do something about that when I get home. But there's more adrenaline to be used up yet, so we're back on the road again. The thriving town of Fords Bridge is about 40k from Bourke, so I decided to stop here and have a bit of a break. There are so many people and cars about, it's really hard to find a parking spot. This is clearly not where millionaires go to retire. A bit sad, really. There are so many small towns that have died just like this one. Anyway, I treat myself to a nice cashew and date bar and some water. I'm still running road pressures in my tyres because the road is really rough in places and I don't want to buckle a rim, which would be a disaster for a tubeless tyre and an alloy rim. I'm running Shinko 705s. They're really good. They're an 80/20 tyre and probably not ideal for these conditions, but as an all-round tyre I'm really happy with them. Back over the water puddle again, and it's not very far back to Bourke from here. Call me a big girl's blouse, but now that the bitumen's arriving, I'm very happy to see it. I've done this sort of riding before, so I'm not a complete novice when it comes to riding on gravel, dirt and sand. But I've got to the stage where I realise I'm too old and too unfit, and too unwilling to take the risk of coming off at speed, on my own, out in the middle of nowhere. So it's back into Bourke to scare a few galahs, and then head off down to Nyngan for the night. It's a straight 200 kilometres back to Nyngan from Bourke, with just a couple of kinks where there's a couple of small towns. But I stop halfway for some lunch, and I really treat myself to some cheese, sausage and a fruit and nut bar, and a tin of tuna for variety. Again, I realise that if I'd had my riding buddy here, lunch would be much nicer affairs. Cows on the road break up the monotony of the ride. I've arrived at Nyngan and I'm going to stay at this riverside caravan park, right on the Bourke River. I'm not travelling light. This is what I've got on the bike. I've got an Aldi cooking set with the stove inside it. I've got a 12 volt pump to pump up my airbed. Food in there, Aldi tent, cheap sleeping bag in an Aldi dry bag, the blow up mattress and a blanket. No more sleeping straight on the ground for me, I'm way too old for that. In the panniers I've got clothes in this side and a pair of thongs. And on this side a couple of litres of water. Come on, show me. Right. A couple of litres of water, a bottle of wine, the toiletries, towel, fuel for the stove. The tent might be big and heavy, but it's got enough space to put all the stuff in, and it's got a proper heavy duty floor. What's this? Rain? Yep, definitely rain. There's supposed to be a drought on. What's going on? Well, the rain didn't last, but it did blow a gale. But the wind finally died down in the evening. And it's a very pretty spot by the river. The park has a pet camel, so I thought I'd go and introduce myself. He thinks the GoPro might be edible. Num num. Cute camel. They really are affectionate, handsome beasts. Not at all like they're portrayed in movies. Anyway, time to cook dinner before it gets dark. Another gourmet meal of 2-minute noodles, sausage and cheese. There seems to be a theme happening here. Then it's a cup of tea in the dark before bedtime. The morning dawned, calm and dewy, and all is peaceful on the river. My 5-day adventure has turned into 3. I'm going back home today. I've failed in my attempt to get to Hungerford, and I've failed in my attempt to be a real adventure rider riding outback roads. And therefore I've failed at being a real man. But I'm still alive, and a failed adventure is a much better adventure than no adventure at all. So I'm still a happy little bunny.